Well, firstly, it just makes me quite tearful.
Doing the work. What work are you doing? In regards to how women and men relate to each other, it seems that people are in separate rooms in their own echo chambers, talking to each other about the other.
70% of men on apps don't even get a like or acknowledgement on the apps. This is a big part of the problem. Women's standards are so high right now.
If you sat both of them together here and go, okay, so what happened? You ghosted this person. No, I didn't. I told her, well, I'll see you around. And you're like, okay, you'll see me around.
I do have a roster. Make sure you're talking to, like going on dates and getting to know people, maybe at least a couple that you're trying to get to know, and then maybe decide, okay, who's the one that maybe you like.
So deception from the onset. Okay, I'm with you.
Sleeping with several men is one thing. Going out, talking to different people, getting to know people, you can be very honest about that.
My promotion as a therapist will always be honest with yourself, know what you want, communicate what you want and what you need from someone.
Do we end up choosing the man or do we get chosen?
Do not get married if you're seeking happiness.
Thank you to you both for joining me for this. I feel like it's a critical episode for me. I feel like we are in a global crisis. Well, I would call it that. I'm a bit dramatic, but I'm calling it a global crisis, right? And the title of this episode is Single and Searching. Why are so many of us single is the title of the episode. And I really wanted to have you both on to hear your perspectives as two individuals who work closely with men and women in different capacities to really kind of get people who are on the outside looking in to all of this madness. So I guess before we get into our discussion, do you want to give our viewers and listeners a bit of an intro into who you are and what you do? If we start with you, Nathaniel.
Hi, my name is Nathaniel Oke. I'm a psychotherapist for the last 17 plus years. And I work with individuals, couples, groups, and corporations.
And I'm Siobhan Copland. I'm a matchmaker and dating coach. I've been doing so for over 15 years.
Great. So I'm really excited to get stuck in. I think what I want to do first of all is kind of set the scene, right? And so I've got a bit of some data points that I want us to really reflect on to get your opinions on. So there's a lot of data around where we are in terms of millennials and the dating landscape. And so some of the data is from the US and the UK, as that represents our audience. So when we look at the US, according to data, it says that 47% of Black adults are singles. That was from essence.com. And it says that 49% of Black women in the US have never been married. And then we've also got the male loneliness epidemic that's taking place. And it says now 1 in 4 young males, this is from American data, but I think it's quite similar in the UK, have reported feeling lonely at the end of the day. So that's when they say at the end of the day they feel lonely. And then the UK, so there was a survey that was done last year by Black Ballad, and it said that 40% of Black British women said that they were single and not dating at all. And it says that Black couples in the UK face a divorce rate of 30.8% versus 17.3% when it comes to white couples. So high divorce rates. I'm going to stop there, but what do you think about this data?
Well, firstly, it just makes me quite tearful. I think it's actually really sad. You know, the whole reason why I do what I do is to sort of combat this feeling of isolation and loneliness. And I think we've all kind of, it's been even more paramount since the pandemic, where it's just sort of risen. You know, everyone was sort of in isolation during that time, no choice of your own. But it certainly does feel that's the way the world is going, that so many more people are feeling so isolated from social groups, even, you know, the amount of men that I speak to, I don't know about yourself, even that when I sort of say to them while I'm trying to find them a partner, what about your friends? Like, are you going out? Are you socializing? And so many men I speak to are actually saying to me, well, no, I don't really have friends to go out with. All my friends are married with children. I no longer really have anyone even to just have company with. So that's really, I mean, has that been kind of your experience? Do you hear that a lot as well?
Well, I think I would support the data you're referring to, because for the people that have come into my therapeutic practice, there has been an increase in social isolation. There's been an increase in loneliness, especially for men, Black men, there has been an increase in that from what I've seen in the last 17 years. I would say the last 5 years, touching on what you've said there about what are the factors that may have contributed to it. We're looking at lockdown, and also the social landscape of social media, emails, text messages, and everything else like that as forms of communication, whereas previously forms of communication has been in person.
Okay, yeah.
So that's where you hone in your social skills, your communication skills, your human contact.
Yes.
So now a lot of people are even reported stating, text me, don't call me. I'll respond to your text. And that sounds real cool to some people. But for me, when I hear that, the alarms bells start ringing because I know what that means. That means more isolation, more limited social interaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm also seeing a lot of people are now putting their phones on Do Not Disturb.
DND time.
Yeah, and it's very baffling to me. I don't know if it's generational, whether it's a Gen Z thing, but they just put their phone on Do Not Disturb, and you can't, like with my nieces, I can't get hold of them, like because they're like, oh no, Do Not Disturb. So I don't know if that's playing a part as well. I guess I wanted to kind of touch on the first aspect is around the kind of, I guess, therapy and black men.
Okay.
So if I look at myself and my friends, and I guess one of the reasons why I was so passionate to do this series is because I'm approaching 40, and a lot of, like, myself and my friends, we've done what we would call the emotional work. So we've taken, like, it's quite scary, like, going to therapy, right? So doing therapy, like showing up every week to work on ourselves. We're journaling, we're sound bathing, Reiki, acupuncture, everything we can to make sure that, like, we are healthy, we're trying to heal from trauma.
Yeah.
But then, like, we're not seeing this from men. And I've actually dated black men and white men. And I've seen this common thread, actually, that the men that we're meeting, there's an imbalance. It feels like to us that there's more women doing the work. And then it's like men are just not doing the work to kind of make themselves, I guess, I don't want to say emotionally mature, but kind of like emotionally aware even, or trying to do the work themselves. So what do you think in terms of your practice, in terms of what you see in that aspect?
Well, I think I'm an outlier in my profession because a lot of my clients are actually men.
Yes.
So a lot of the clients I have, and usually when I speak to other therapists, it's usually the other way around, whereas a lot of women are their client base. For my one, is probably 60, 70% of my clients right now are men. And a lot of them are black men. So in a way, the question that you're directing at me seems perfectly targeted. I would say the idea that women are doing a lot of the work and men aren't seems to be a projection, usually by a lot of women.
Okay.
Right? Because the ones I see, the men that I see, are doing the work. And when I say doing the work, sometimes we're thinking, where exactly is the work? I hear that a lot, especially from people online, people in person. I'm doing the work. What work are you doing?
So what is it?
You're going to see a therapist, and I've been a therapist, and I've had clients sitting across from me, and I'm sure when they go back home, they'll be like, yeah, I was doing the work. What work are you doing if you sat there and you're not willing to explore or delve deeper into some of the issues that may be presenting? So when people say doing the work, I always have to question and challenge that. Because doing the work for me is not turning up somewhere, sitting down, paying the money. Doing the work goes beyond the therapy space, beyond the therapy room, right? Where you are taking what is coming up for you in the therapeutic space, going back home and doing some actually soul searching to explore, actually, what am I taking from this? Or are you just turning up and then repeating patterns of behavior and then directing attention to others for being the cause of the issues that you may be experiencing?
I love that. Is it almost like a way that, because sometimes I feel that when I see sort of men maybe behaving a certain way, do you think it's because then the women who maybe we feel like we're doing the work, but then they're not establishing boundaries, and therefore in this ecosystem, it's like normalizing bad behavior, if that makes sense. So like we think we're showing up and we're doing the work, but then we're still letting a guy treat us not the way that we want to, or not asserting boundaries. And then it's like we're blaming the men, but then is it the women then who are in the ecosystem who are putting up with that?
Well, I would say there's enough responsibilities to go around,
Okay.
right? And whether there's an accountability for that, that's another question. But in regards to how women and men relate to each other, it seems that people are in separate rooms in their own echo chambers, talking to each other about the other, and then formulating an idea of what the other person is or a narrative about them. Even from the questioning that you phrased is phrased in a very projected way of going, well, women are doing the work, but men are not doing the work. And I'm like,
I don't see
There's
it.
a lot of blaming
don't see it.
the other sex at the moment, isn't there? There's a lot of division between men and women at the moment, and it is very much like, you know, men are saying women are the problem, we're being rejected by women. I mean, again, statistics show, you know, I think it's something like 70% of men on apps or something, or even 90%, a really high percentage, don't even get a like or, you know, or acknowledgement on the apps. That they're sort of saying that actually a lot of men in society are feeling not good enough for most women today. And I think this is a big part of the problem, is that women's standards are so high right now. Not only do we want a man that's done the work, we want a man who takes care of himself physically, mentally, who's in a good career, who's educated, who wants marriage and children, who owns his own home. You know, the list goes on. And I think a lot of men feel as though, you know, years ago, people would get married and they'd build together. They would start off both with kind of nothing and make a life together and build something. But now it's kind of we're doing the work, we're ambitious, we're driven, we're getting far ahead as far as what we perceive to be success in life. And then it's sort of like looking for someone, a certain level of success. And I think a lot of men are feeling that maybe they don't quite add up to that. Have you found that as well in your practice, that some men are feeling almost unworthy of you know, being chosen to have a family and get married?
well, I think when I look at that, and I think you raise a lot of points in regards to, a lot of good points in regards to the climate shift. Where the supply and demand doesn't necessarily marry up. And what I mean by that is the demand for certain types of men, where a lot of the times I'm hearing descriptors of external descriptors, which is how tall you are, how good looking you are, how much money you're earning, and all of these type of things. And rarely do I hear from the social discourse. From the social discourse, rarely do I hear about the personality of the individual.
Yeah.
Rarely do I hear about, you know, the journey of a human being where they are right now. So if we're comparing the stats that you were saying earlier about the divorce rates and everything else, I look at data with a pinch of salt a lot of the times, because data do not offer context, historical context.
Yeah.
And in situations like that, with the men I work with and women I work with, in the Black community, if I'm looking at my Black clients, there are a lot of factors that contribute to the person sitting in front of you that maybe other groups do not have similar background experiences. I'm talking about the impact of colonialization on Black and African clients that I do have. And with that comes a history that may be tainted with self-doubt, self-hatred, being told you are less than, and also the gender norms that come within different communities where men and women are raised in a traditional patriarchal structure. And fast forward to 2025, that patriarchal structure is now, we're not down for that anymore.
Yeah.
So we're shifting from that patriarchy. We want something a little bit different. Cool. But have people been notified of that?
Still figuring it out, I think, aren't we, as to what that next phase is going to look like. And it's very much, as you say, it's sort of almost the roles of men and women today are so blurred.
That's the thing.
That it's really not clear. And as you say, it's sort of, as you said, talking in the echo chambers, we're not really having these open conversations with each other enough. It's kind of, women are talking to other women, men are talking, well, not even talking to other men most of the time. They kind of just sit there quietly and have their drink and watch the sports. But I think that...
I feel attacked here.
They're not talking as much as us. Let's face it, they're not talking as much as us. And I think that's the thing. We need to have more of these open conversations about expectations. about, even things like finances. It's such a big thing in relationships. And if we're not having these open discussions about, okay, what does finances in our joint, relationship look like? How are we going to manage those finances? What are my expectations of you? Are you going to be the complete sole provider? Because again, men's sort of, identity for many years and centuries even has been protector and provider. But now, as you began this conversation talking about, actually emotional intelligence is what women want from men now.
Yes.
And so it's kind of finding that full package of a man who's not just default as, man, protector, provider, but actually this evolved version of a man now, which is also a lot more emotionally attuned to a woman's needs and self-aware and all the rest of it.
Yes, because I think for me, and I guess I'm speaking from in, I guess, silo, it's like me and my friends, like, 30s, 40s, a lot of us, either we live alone or we've actually bought our own properties, established, doing well. And then it's like, okay, and then we're also trying to be better people. And then it's like, then you're meeting men, and the stories that I hear of ghosting, I mean, I've been ghosted so many times, called me Casper, like I am just like, the men will ghost, lack of communication. And we were talking about this in a previous episode around just cruelty. I've seen a lot of like cruel, unkind behavior. And this is like, I'm trying to be careful to not project, but this is just from like the experience I've had in terms of just friends dating and me personally. And it's like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? Why is it? And I do know men can get ghosted. So both sexes ghosting each other, both sexes being cruel. Everyone's just not being nice. Why? Where is this coming from?
The courtesy is no longer there, is it? That
no longer there.
But can I say, most of the men you're meeting, is it from online dating?
No, so I've come off the apps.
Even when you've met them in person, they're still ghosting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I find there's that discardable thing about online dating where people don't feel they owe each other the same courtesies as perhaps if you were introduced by someone or, because it's almost like you're just this almost like, not faceless person, but just another number maybe on an app. Do you know what I mean?
A swipe, someone that you've swiped. Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't feel that emotionally invested where they feel that they actually have to have that conversation and kind of, because they're going on so many dates, it's sort of churning them out.
That's the problem, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you think?
that is one of the factors that I found in regards to ghosting, is the idea that I don't necessarily need to give somebody that courtesy of calling them because, it was basically bubblegum interaction. If anybody chews any chewing gums, after a while it loses its flavor, so there's not much investment in it. But there are other factors that I've noticed within the field of ghosting, which is, I'll just reel some of it off from the top of my head, which is the idea that I'm doing this person a favor. It's the idea that I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, but also the internalized feelings that you do not have the communication skills to be able to engage in that conversation with somebody. It's like, how am I going to say this? How can I conceptualize that I'm not into you as you are into me? How can I use those words that people will, experience as rejection? I don't want to be that bad guy. So many things that go into that. But there are also other factors in which some men or women may have attempted to end the relationship or the interaction, but that hasn't been received accordingly.
Okay.
They've been attacked.
Even before the attack one is basically, I'm telling you, you know what? I'll give you a call sometime. And for some people, that is me telling you, don't wait for me to give you a call.
Yeah.
Right? I'll call you when I'm ready.
Okay,
and if I don't call you, that means I'm not interested.
Right.
So that to some people is them conveying their position.
Okay.
Where another person could have been, he said he was going to call me. He hasn't called me.
Yeah.
This guy's ghosted me. For him, if you sat both of them together here and go, okay, so what happened? You ghosted this person? No, I didn't. I told her, well, I'll see you around, or I'll holler when I'm ready. And you're like, okay, he'll see me around. I'll holler at you one day soon. I'm like, okay, he said he'll holler at me soon. Soon is what, 1 week, 1 month? It's been 3 months now. So there's so many other factors that go in there. But also there's this idea that you know what? I'm scared of confrontation. So how is this conversation going to map out if I'm telling you I'm not feeling you? Or if I'm telling you I cannot give you what you want, which is not a rejection of you. It may be a rejection of what you are seeking. And there's a difference between the two. However, as I can see in your face now, you're looking at it, it's like, hold on a minute. Is that how I experience this? What's going on here?
I know, but it's starting to like make sense, because maybe it's like, okay, so you can be in a situationship.
Yeah.
And maybe the guy can sense that you want more, but he's saying it's just a situationship. But then sometimes as women, I feel like sometimes we think, okay, maybe it might change, or we give ourselves that false hope. And then the situationship is like, but I told you it's a situationship. And when you get ghosted, you get upset because you were ghosted by a situationship. So maybe it's like that. Yeah, it's starting to kind of like make sense.
Also, could there be an element where they just want to keep the door open?
That's
so
what I
rather
think a lot
than
of men
totally
do.
close the door, it's kind of, oh, look, they pop up again 3 months later.
Yes, they do that.
Sorry, work got really busy. I was traveling, blah, 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 blah. Because they're not sure about you, but they're not, it's not enough to say, I want to completely close this door.
It's not a no. It's a we'll see.
It's a maybe.
It's a maybe.
Let me see what's out there.
Let
That's
me see what else
like
is out there. And I might loop back here. And I've heard this, a guy say that. I mean, I had a client the other day who said to me that he got into a relationship with a girl who he'd kind of been seeing. It didn't really work out. Then he was looking on the apps like a year later. She popped up again. And he was like, actually, she wasn't that bad. Maybe I'll give this another go. Do you know what I mean? So I do feel like there's an element of that as well, where it's kind of like keep their option open and not, you know, completely close it, because they'll say they don't want to see you again. You might just block them and they'll never get that chance again.
Well, good.
Which you should. Which you should do.
I think, because I'm now getting my block game better. I think I kind of entered the dating streets after a while recently, so I was very rusty. And my friends, I mean, my friend has, they just are very good at blocking guys. Like the first sign of disrespect, block, block, block. But I'm a bit more like, but maybe it's the boundaries. I think the lack of boundaries.
There is something there about boundaries. There's also something there about a lack of communication on both sides. Because if you're telling me you've been in situationships, number one, do both of you know you're in situationships? Does he think he's in a situationship and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm taking him to church on Sunday to meet my pastor?
Exactly.
So there's lack of clarity there, first of all. Number two, are you communicating what your needs and wants are? Are you communicating that?
If I'm real, I don't, because you get scared. Because I feel like dating's game playing. And it's like, it's so overwhelming. It's like, if I'm actually honest with a guy to say like, yeah, I really want this, then I'll just be walking the streets alone with a teddy bear, because guys can get put off by certain things. That's what I'm thinking. So
Only if you're not after the same thing. And this is what I always tell my clients, is it's like, you have to be authentic and vulnerable. And we're very afraid of that vulnerability thing, right? And that's the biggest challenge. But do you know what? Men find vulnerability really attractive. And I think that actually by being that vulnerable and sort of saying, you know, for example, look, I'm looking for someone, hopefully, that's going to be my husband one day.
But then most guys would be like, see ya.
Yeah, good. Because they're not the guy that would be looking for that either.
You know what? It's scary. I know you're saying the right things, but as a nearly 40-year-old woman, when you're told that you're just dry, old and crusty, that's scary, because it's like, damn. And then it's like the pool is small enough as it is, and then it's scary.
It is scary. It absolutely is.
So sometimes we feel like, let me just get into the situationship, and then maybe he will like me, and then we'll get into a relationship. If I'm honest, that's what I have done in the past.
Playing it cool, going with the flow.
It never goes.
It doesn't work, does it? It hasn't been working. And that's what I'm saying. Going with the flow does not work. You've got to be intentional.
Well, this is a perfect illustration of the silo I was speaking about earlier, about you women talking about men and what men want and what men think of you.
Yeah.
And there's a man sat right here that's telling you, or listening to both of you talk about what men want or do not want. Earlier on, you're talking about how men are not doing the work, but women are more, maybe men are not emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
But I just asked you, do you communicate your wants and your needs with someone? And you said, no. So in that regards, the man is supposed to then, I don't know, somehow siphon your needs and wants in his mind without you communicating it. Because you accusing
Yeah.
us as in men as
Do
not
you
being
know
able
what
to
I would say?
communicate.
But then it's like, okay, but then why do we have to get into a situationship? I feel like it's male. Most of the time it's male led, right? So it's like we know as women, okay, majority, not all, but most men would like to have options, right? And would like to kind of, like you're saying, see who he likes. So we feel like we're being pulled into a game that we don't really want to play, but we're playing it. So that's why it's like, I haven't communicated because we feel like we're being pulled into this dating
Who's
game.
Why don't
Who's
you keep
pulling
your
you?
options open at the same time?
I do.
Yeah.
So now we do. But then it's like, then you have the one that you like though, right? And
Yeah.
then I think you get emotionally, you get emotionally invested. So I now say to my friends, I do have a roster. Like, make sure you're talking to, like going on
Yes.
dates and getting to know people, maybe at least a couple that you're trying to get to know, and then maybe decide, okay, who's the one that maybe you like. But then I've never gone to that this year yet because it's like, okay, then maybe one will ghost, one gets blocked, and then it just doesn't work out for me. But I feel like it works out for men. Like when they do the roster, they might be, go on a date with maybe 3 girls and then they get into a relationship. But then what I'm seeing a lot with my friends is we'll do the roster dating and then we are the ones that end up with no one.
Roster dating is an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah.
The idea that a man is going to be seeing a woman, knowing very well that she's seen other men.
You can't tell him.
Okay, so deception from the onset. Okay, I'm with you.
Yes. From the woman's point of view.
But listen, going
Because
talking
you're
to
right.
men-
If a man finds out you've got a roster, he's not going to look at you.
No. But I don't agree. Okay, sleeping with several men
Yeah.
is one thing.
Okay, yeah.
Going out, talking to different people, getting to know people.
Yeah.
I feel like you can be very honest
But
about
then they'll
that.
think that you are. So guys, I feel like guys will think, you can say, oh, I'm just going out on dates. But we feel like in their mind, oh, he's going to think I'm sleeping with them. So let me not tell him that I'm talking to other guys.
But let him ask the question, right?
Yeah.
And I think you need to get to that point where he wants to ask the question. It's like, will you be exclusive with me? It has
really?
to be.
Okay.
For me personally, I think men think that if you're, a high value woman, there's going to be other men interested.
Yes.
Right? The fact that there's no one else on the scene is almost like doesn't.
She's
for me,
lying.
it almost doesn't make you seem like you're a woman that's into my. It's like
Okay, I like
the
that
auction
perspective.
effect, I call it.
Yeah.
Right? The more men that are bidding for your attention, in my eyes, the higher your value goes.
Oh, I love that perspective actually, because I've been looking at it and some of my friends, we've been looking at it in a different way to say like, no, like keep your business quiet, don't let him know, because and it's so funny because you did read me there, but I need to be read, is the deception part. Yes, we're actually being deceptive. But then I would say, and this is obviously biased, but I just feel like sometimes as women, we feel like we've got to, because sometimes we feel like, maybe in a way, like I mentioned, that we're worrying about what he thinks, but your perspective is actually very refreshing. I never thought about it like in that way, that actually if a guy knows that you're talking to other guys or other guys want you, that he might think, oh, well, actually, I've got a step, it might even motivate him.
Absolutely. And
That's
it should
interesting.
motivate him. I think it should. And I mean, I'm interested to hear your perspective, Mel,
thoughts,
because
yeah.
he always, I can tell by his face, he's a bit
tell
like, no,
that
I don't
he
like
was
the sound
like,
of that.
oh,
She
Lord.
should be only one man and one man only at all times.
No, you know what? My perspective here in the spirit of emotional maturity is about openness. Now, men are very competitive creatures.
Okay.
Men, so in the point you're making, if a man knows that you are seeing other men, he may, I don't know for a fact that it will in every case, but he may see that as, you know what, I want to be the chosen one. So I'm going to chase until I get. And then when I get, then what happens then potentially?
Okay.
The fear is you are a prize that was won by competition, by him wooing you, by him, good morning, text messages or whatever it may be, just for him to be the exclusive one. And what happens then when the focus is on winning the prize rather than getting to know you, Vanessa, the individual? So my thing and my promotion as a therapist will always be honest with yourself, know what you want, communicate what you want and what you need from someone, so the other person would then be in the best place to make a decision on what they want. If it aligns with yours, cool. If it doesn't, he can inform you of that And that is not a rejection of you. That's a rejection, as I said earlier. It's a rejection of what you want do not align with what he wants in that period of time. And now you will be better informed of going, oh, you know what? Thank you for that. Take care. I wish you the best. And I hope you get what you want. And I'm clear in what I want. And I'm explaining that to you.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the roster and whether to reveal or not reveal, deception or not deception,
But
I will say be as open and honest as you can be in a situation, especially when the other person may have certain expectations. I have this workshop where I work with singles, couples, people that have been in long-term relationships and may want the refresh. And when I'm working with people, I'm talking about what are your expectations of each other? And sometimes singles and people in fresh relationships like, no expectations. We're just having fun and getting to know, I like this person. And I'm like, rubbish.
Yeah.
In my
It is a
experience, there's
process.
expectations. Everybody has expectations of each other.
But
Be
it is
honest
a process,
about
isn't it? And it's a process of building that emotional connection. I mean, have you watched Love is Blind?
Yeah. Yeah.
So even that, they're in the pods, they can't see each other, can they? But they're talking over, I don't know, weeks
Okay.
to different people, right? They're having conversations with several people and they'll be quite open and honest and say, oh, I've got another connection, won't they? They'll be like, there's another connection here, but they have to ultimately make a decision at the end. And I think that's kind of the process of dating is it's like you're exploring connections with people, right?
Yeah.
Where you feel that you're getting more of that emotional connection, there comes that point where naturally other people are just going to fall out of the equation because you've gone to that next level with somebody. And we're not talking about next level as in sexually. We're talking about next level in terms of an emotional connection that feels strong enough that actually you start to feel a bit guilty about going on a date with the other two guys because, you're locked in, right?
I see.
And I think the problem is a lot of time we as women, we see a guy straight away and we like him and we decide we're choosing him.
He's the one. Yeah.
But here's something controversial I'm going to say. Do we end up choosing the man or do we get chosen?
We get chosen. I think that's where maybe, and it's really good to have you both on because it's giving a really sort of great perspectives because we're not in the driver's seat. But then I do feel like when I was in my 20s, I did that. I was looking at connections and trying to get to know people because I felt I've got so much time. And maybe I'm a bad auntie, but I was saying this in the episode earlier, but I'll repeat it again. I tell my nieces, please find your husband now in your 20s. Because I'm like, I don't want them to be in my situation where I did that. I was like, okay, I've still got time. I'm just exploring. And then you get to like 38, 39 and you're like, damn, I want to have kids and a family. And, my clock is ticking. And then that process kind of feels like a lot of pressure to me now because it's like, I want to meet connections. But at the same time, I feel like I want to find a husband. Like I want to find a husband. I'm like, damn, my time is ticking.
But you want someone that's going to choose you every time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time what we do is we chase after the guys that are actually unavailable.
Yes.
A lot of the time we want the guy who's actually not emotionally available, right?
Yeah.
But he's smoking hot and he's got a great job and I've been there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was that girl. Trust me, when I was single, that was me.
Yeah.
I was always going for the guy who was unattainable. And that was like the chase for me. I liked the chase in a way because you feel like you've won them over eventually, right?
Yes.
But we need to stop playing that game, right? It's about, can he win me over? The guy you end up marrying, you may not like him at first. And the amount of women that I've met that are married that say they didn't even fancy their husband at first. Yeah. But at some point, something changed. He won them over.
What do you think then, Nathaniel, about this?
Well,
I've just said.
I definitely agree with you, Siobhan, in regards to the initial attraction doesn't always equate to longevity. My viewpoint is do not get married. Do not get married. If you're seeking happiness, do not get married. And I know that may sound scary to you, but I full-heartedly believe do not get married if you're seeking happiness. The reason why I'm saying that is marriage is not solely about happiness. Marriage is a combination of openness, honesty, communication, connection, sacrifices, willingness to put another person before yourself, building family, community, legacy. Marriage is more than just, I want to live happily ever after.
It's no fairy tale, is it? I mean, it's work. It really is. Anyone married will tell you it is constant work.
It's definitely work.
And staying committed to just choosing that same person over and over again when we're in a world where there is so much else out there, and we're on social media and we're seeing people that, you know, look like they've got better lives than us. It's a real test to just be like, nope, I'm staying here.
Wow. But then it feels like, and I guess, Nathaniel, I guess it's like, it does feel like, because I am aware, I've heard a lot of my married friends say, you know, we have a lot, I'm laughing because, you know, my WhatsApp group chats, like the women are just like, don't do it, don't do it, you know, but it's like, we're almost sort of like ready for that, like you're saying, commitment. But I'm just saying, are men ready for that hard work? Or are the women more willing? Like, when in your practice, do you see like any kind of gender imbalance in terms of the women are ready to put in the work, but then the men aren't? Or is it?
I think sometimes, even in a marriage or in a relationship, people can come from two totally different perspectives. And where I was talking about expectations earlier, we're talking about patriarchy and abolish the patriarchy, you know, the traditional patriarchal norms and structures, which is a man is the head of the family, he's making the money and everything else. And the world is changed, not changing, the world is changed. And a lot of people, men and women, didn't get the memo. So that way we're living through a rule book that has now been discontinued. A rule book for men and women that is not the same anymore. Women are historically more educated now than they've ever been in history.
Especially black women. So much more black women are going to
More
university.
black women
now than
are
ever.
going to university. Women have got the financial power and structure than they've ever had before in history. So the reason for marrying previously were, I want to be married so I can be looked after potentially. I want the safety of a marriage, the safety of that marital union. What about now, 2025? I could, you know, a woman may say, I can afford to pay my own bills. I bought my own house. I probably out-earn you, my brother, right? So what exactly are the reasons why I should enter into this union? It's different than it was before.
But then I'm also feeling like men feel like they're the prize.
And your problem with that is what?
I feel like they should think we are the prize as women.
Okay.
Like,
How about you're both the prize?
I've heard that, but no, you can't have one prize. Like if you're in a race, first place goes to one person, right? So I just feel like someone is the
But
someone's
why
the
do we have
prize
to
and
have
it should
this
be me.
competitiveness in the relationship? I think that's a lot of the problem.
But
Is
the
there's so much
issue is-
competitiveness.
I get what
amongst
you're
us.
saying, but
Yeah.
then it's like, but then I just feel like men go on like you should chase them. You
So
should
we're
wine
not-
and dine them.
So the princess treatment for a man is
Yeah.
not, of course. I think as a man, naturally, you should be the one that wants to pursue.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you want to have children. The woman is going to be the person to carry a child, give birth, and make most of the sacrifices in the relationship.
that's why we're the
so,
prize.
of course, you should be cherished.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you should feel cherished.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree. But I think also what we're doing a lot is we're putting the other sex down. So it's by sort of saying, well, we're the prize, you're not, and it's kind of this is the way that we're kind of speaking about each other now. Is it's almost like this constant put down that I'm better than you. And this is why marriages are not working, because, I speak to divorced men all the time, and there'll be a situation where she was a housewife and now she's used her education to get a job in the city, and now she's earning more than him, and suddenly her attitude towards him is changing because she now feels better than him because she's the higher earner, right? So it's like this power dynamics that exist in relationships now, and I think we didn't have that problem in the 1950s. As you say, that power dynamic wasn't there. Women were at home, the men were earning the money. The women were like, great, I'm happy just cooking and cleaning. You pay for everything and this works. But as you say now, if it's this dynamic where actually the women were out earning the men, it's one thing about men is they need to feel respected, right? We all need to feel respected, but the male ego is fragile, right? They most definitely need to feel respected. So when they're coming home and the woman's talking to them as if to say she doesn't respect him because she's more of the boss, because she's earning more money, she's doing this, she bought her own house before you, that's kind of been thrown in his face. A lot of the time, this is what builds this resentment in the relationship, because that kind of respect is no longer there.
What do you think?
Well, I think that this is a morbid Squid Game type of narrative that goes on right now. If you look online, elsewhere, there's a competition on what do you bring to the table,
Yeah.
or whatever it may be. That to me is a very immature and childish conversation to be had. And I personally won't partake in it, because what you bring to the table lets me know what your intentions are in that
To
relationship.
take, isn't it?
Because now we are valuing each other based on certain attributes, or certain, either financial or beauty wise, or, being a homemaker, whatever it may be. For you to be asking that question, you're not ready for what a relationship is. If you're asking the question, what do you bring to the table? Do not get married, because a divorce lawyer will be making a lot of money from you.
Because it's give and take, isn't it?
It's definitely a give and take. So do not ask, if you're asking that question, what you bring to the table,
You're gonna get divorced, honey.
you're gonna get
Yeah,
divorced.
ghosted.
You're gonna get divorced, and it's all good. You're gonna come to see me as a therapist, and I'll be listening to you telling me, well, she doesn't bring this to the table, or he doesn't bring this to the table.
And a man definitely asking a woman that, I find that so cringe when a man's like, what do you bring to a woman?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a response to years of women talking about, I bring myself to the table. As you said earlier, that is actually talking about what I am the prize. If you think about it conceptually, a prize is something to be won and something to be put on a pedestal once won. If you want to be that person, if you want to be a prize, go for it. But the idea that in a relationship where two people, individuals with individual backgrounds, experiences, are coming together to create this one union, it takes the work and the maturity to be able to combine those two lives together and respect each other to the point in which you see the other person's value, not what you bring to the table, or I'm the prize. You see your husband, hopefully, as a prize, something to be admired and cherished. He would hopefully see you as a prize, not the prize. The union is the prize.
You're an asset to
I
one
love
another.
that. I love
Right.
that. The
Yeah.
union is the prize.
Right.
The
Yeah.
union is
Yeah.
the prize.
The teamwork, the team, right? Because that's what it is. I think it's very me versus you as well. But we've got to be thinking, if we're thinking of marriage, thinking of building a family, it's we, and it is that teamwork kind of mentality. So from the very beginning, displaying that you're a person who wants to be part of a team, rather than this kind of ego-based sort of questioning that we do, which is all about, okay, well, are you good enough for me, right? I think, and when we're looking for, what do they bring to the table, it should be shared values. That's the thing that you should be looking for. And you should be asking those questions to try and ascertain whether or not you actually have the same values, because that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
It's not these superficial things that we're kind of putting on our list. It's the values.
I'm with you, Siobhan.
I want to just touch on this rise in terms of like red pill content online. It kind of glamorizes men being emotionally unavailable. So I won't even say the person's name, but he's very well known for pushing a narrative online in terms of resentment towards women.
Okay.
And I wondered, actually, in both of your, professions,
Okay.
how do you see this mindset showing up a lot in men? And does it have an impact? Do you feel like it has an impact now on the dynamics? Because it's sort of like you mentioned Squid Games. It almost feels like we're fighting each other. And so I just wondered if you felt like that kind of rise in terms of that toxic masculinity, is that kind of something that's causing it? Yeah.
Toxic masculinity has shown up, huh?
Yes.
Well, I will answer it this way. My experience of seeing men and women, but I'll focus on the men. There is a shift in a movement. I think they call it incels, which is short for involuntary celibacy. So these are men that, for want of a better word, feel that they cannot be with a woman, and it's not by their own choice.
Okay.
So naturally, there's a resentment towards women now at large, because the thinking is, you are rejecting me. This is all about rejection. You are rejecting me, which then means I'm internalizing that I am not good enough for you. I am not worthy. And if you look at the groups that express these views, some of them historically have been bullied. Some of them may have certain beliefs and experiences on feeling less than. And so this is directed towards women because women are historically, we're talking about being chosen or not being chosen. Women historically are the ones that choose whether she's with a man or not. So a lot of these men are going, well, I'm being rejected by these women. A lot of these men are then looking at examples. We're talking about echo chambers. Echo chambers exist to be able to support your viewpoint already. You're not seeking alternative views. You're seeking others to think exactly the same. The rise of online presence. So we're talking about the online social media presence where the algorithm is structured to give you
more content that you like.
More content that you have viewed. So if you've viewed certain things, it reinforces
that's the trap,
that.
isn't it? It just keeps coming up on your feed all the time, which reinforces that mindset.
Yeah, so that's the echo chamber of that. And in my experience of seeing these men, a lot of them do not believe that they are desired or wanted. A lot of them feel rejected, and there comes anger from that. There comes potential violence from that. And the projection, I was talking about projection earlier. A lot of these men are projecting that women, over 4 billion, 5 billion women in this world, but generalized to be women are cruel, women do not want us, they are rejecting us, they think they're better than us. And this is then reinforced about the climate that I mentioned earlier, the shift in the patriarchal structures, which is, I'm not good enough. As Siobhan mentioned earlier, some of these women are seeking a man that is this, it's 6 foot tall, he earns a lot of money, he'll be able to treat me like a princess, and all of these things, and feeling rejected. And talking about dating apps, there's been research to show that a lot of men on these dating apps do not get chosen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you are seeing on social media you've been rejected, if you are seeing in your bedroom that you've been rejected because the other pillow is always cold, if you are not getting contact or responses from dating apps, you would create this world in which you live in as the world that rejects you. And if you're heterosexual male, who rejects you? An heterosexual woman. And that's where that comes from. So my experience when I'm working with men that have shown and expressed some of these views, a lot of the times my clients that may express these views will want me to agree with them. Say, you know how it is, Nathaniel. You know how women are. I get that. I get that a lot. You know how women are. They're this or that. I was like, well, you know what? I don't know how women are because I haven't met all 4.5 billion women on this earth. But why don't you tell me what has been your experience of women? And there you will find that's where the work is. The work is in engaging with someone rather than just disregarding their views, whether you agree with it or not, and applying judgment to it. It's about engaging with it to understand where these views coming from for you. And in some cases, they'll say, well, you know how women are. I'm like, what's been your experience with women? And they may be hard find to actually express their individual experiences with women. They may quote social media, they may quote a friend of mine, this happened, or they may quote celebrities and say, look, they're only interested in someone that looks like that, or whatever it may be. And then by honing in on that, you may be able to engage with them. Go, when have you tried to interact with a woman? What are you seeking? And that is where you actually engage with someone rather than marginalize them. Because if you marginalize them, they're going back into that chat group.
Into that incel.
Incel,
I see.
exactly.
And I guess I wanted to wrap up in terms of forward thinking because there's just the time is ticking. But that was just really, really insightful in terms of like you're saying, the engagement, but the dating now, getting your both of your advice on dating. So you mentioned dating apps. I am done with dating apps. I will. And quote me. If you see me on an app, it's a fake profile. I'm done with dating apps. A lot of my friends are done with it. There was a video a man posted, actually. He said that if you're over 30 and on a dating app, he said that men think that you're desperate. So don't go on there because you just look like a pick-me-sha. So I'm just thinking people who are done with dating apps, how else can we meet men? Or do you think apps are good? Because I know you do. You're a matchmaker. What kind of thing should we look into then to help us?
I'm not anti-apps. I could easily just be don't use an app. I'm a matchmaker. Come and use my service. But I've seen many people that have met through the app. So I know that it can work. But I think that you have to be very strategic in the way that you use them. And, maybe as I say, it can become a bit like sort of playing Candy Crush, can't it? Where it becomes a bit of an addiction, you know. And I think that's where you have to have a healthy use of the app if you're going to use them. I wouldn't say, and I completely disagree with that person's comment about you look, because at the end of the day, the guys are on there too. So are they desperate too? I don't get that. So no. I think that there's a lot of a rise. I mean, I do events as well. There's much more of a rise of these in-person events now, which I think are great, and I think we do need more of those because, as you say, there's not so much of that social interaction. And so when you have these more curated environments where, like mine are for single professionals, for example, over the age of 30, that it's like a nice welcoming environment. You've got hosts there to help introduce you to people. And I think people kind of need that now. People feel uncomfortable just walking up to someone in a bar, like, you know,
so
it doesn't happen
there
as much.
at the party to say, oh, Vanessa, I think you might like Tony. Go
and
I
that
see.
sort of thing. Exactly. And just like, have you guys met? You know, it's just like networking, but everyone there's single. So, you know, I think if you can get out to some events, that's great. There's lots of events all over London happening every night of the week, whether it's speed dating, whether it's mingles. But also, I think just also telling everyone in your life that you're single and looking, because sometimes people don't want to interfere and meddle. But it's not just be like, look, do you know what? I really would love to find a husband here. If there's anyone that you know, think of me.
put herself to work. Yeah, it's true. I should be a bit more open.
Just think of me. Do you know what I mean? Because you'd be surprised within your own network and family and friends. He could be in that, because you know you talk about that the laws of separation. It's like we're all connected by like 1 in 6 or 1 in 4, aren't we? Yeah. So I do think it's really good to make sure that you kind of put that seed in everyone's head, like just think of me if you know anyone. And of course, there's matchmaking services that you can use that's a lot more of a tailored, bespoke, you know, higher fee kind of service than the apps, but we have a really good success rate because everyone's vetted, and I think people like that, knowing that the people they're meeting kind of been thoroughly interviewed, and you know you've got a good understanding of what they're about.
What can we do?
Well, I think Siobhan's experience and expertise speaks for itself there in regards to it. The part in which you were saying about the interaction, the physical interaction, I would definitely second that. I think we spend a lot of our time online these days, a lot of our time just not connecting with individuals. And also, Siobhan, I'll second the point about being open about what you want. Speak to your friends and engage with your friends. There's nothing embarrassing about you being single right now. And the fact that you think it's embarrassing speaks volumes for itself. You know, to be embarrassed about your current situation, it's not an embarrassment. You're a successful woman, you work hard, you haven't been able to find a mate that meets your standards. You see the reframing there.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily about you.
Him rejecting me, but it's about me. Yeah, I see what you mean.
You haven't found the person that fits what you are looking for. The other ones that you may think have ghosted you or rejected you, they were not what you were looking for, because if they were, you two would be together. So it's not a rejection of you. It's just not a non-alignment of two individuals.
I see.
Yeah.
It's redirection, isn't it? When you know we experience it as rejection, but actually it's God's plan. It's redirection.
Exactly. So I'm hoping the next one will be like how to save my marriage or something like that.
Well, no, you don't want to be in that stage.
No,
like,
but how to
stay happily married.
How to stay happily married. I'll put that out there this time next year. But thank you both so much. I mean, we could just go on and on and on. It's hopefully, I'm hoping it's a starting point for more kind of conversations like this. But where can our listeners find you online if they want to kind of sort of support your work and find out more?
So I'm mainly on Instagram, so just my name, Siobhan Copland, and website for the agency is cupidinthecity.com.
Great. And when's your next event?
Yeah, good question. I need to lock in the Christmas one.
Oh, okay, so Christmas.
Yeah,
okay.
I've not locked
this will
it
be
in
out
yet.
before, so then they
just
can go
had
on
one
your website.
on Friday, just gone. But yeah, we'll do another one.
Yeah.
You,
Nathaniel?
Yeah, you can find me on socials as The Talking Therapist, or on my company's website, which is talkingtherapyclinic.com.
Okay.
And if you're interested in, if you're single, a couple, or you've been in a relationship for a long time and you want to refresh it, just contact me on my socials and I'll be able to put you on the waiting list for the workshop coming up.
Great, exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.